Have you ever wondered how to use electronic elements in your music? Hi, it's Simon from Composing Academy, and today I'm going to walk you through step by step how to effectively use synth sounds in your music like this. Adding synth or electronic elements to a piece can be a great way to add excitement and energy, as well as to help give your music a contemporary feel. Film, TV and video game composers will often make extensive use of various electronic sounds, which not only help to add extra sonic depth to a piece, but also help to give their music a modern feel, particularly if the music is accompanying a scene set in the present day, or even in the future. Composers such as Hans Zimmer or James Newton Howard are masters at weaving synthesized elements into their scores, often sitting alongside orchestral instruments to complement and enhance their music. Although there's a vast array of options and instruments when it comes to the different types of electronic sounds, I'm going to concentrate on categories of sounds, all of which are often found in modern film scores: bass sounds, pads, textures, and electronic percussion elements. Synth bass sounds are often used to help give a piece a helping hand when it comes to adding extra oomph in the low end. They can be great at helping to give your music more depth, due to the added low frequencies, as well as helping to give an extra rhythmic layer to your music. Composers often use bass sounds to help create a pulse-like effect, normally with constant eighth or quarter notes. Be careful though that you don't muddy your music with too much low end. A build-up of too much bass can cause havoc to the clarity of your mix. Adding what's called a high-pass filter via EQ helps to cut out or mute the extreme low frequencies of the sound. This is a bass sound with no EQ filter applied. And this is a bass sound with a high-pass filter applied. It might not sound too different in isolation, but when part of a busy mix, cutting out the extreme low frequency, it will help to produce a more clear and transparent mix. Next we have pad sounds. Pads are typically long held or sustained sounds, often imitating the sound of a string section, but adding a modern synthesized twist to the sound. Pads can be great at complementing and even enhancing a string section, providing extra warmth and sonic interest, especially when played underneath in the background of a mix. They almost always contain tonal information, such as pitches, which are part of the underlying harmony. Like pads, texture-based sounds are also typically long sustained sounds, but often have more detail and sonic variety. The sound typically evolves over a period of time once a key is pressed, and can usually help to thicken the sound of your music. Textured-based sounds often have additional elements which are morphed into the sound, such as recordings of everyday objects, which are then stretched out to produce sonically interesting colours. Here's an example of a synth texture from Spitfire Audio's Labs range. Notice how it sounds more involved and detailed than a typical pad. Synthesized percussion sounds can be a great way to add extra detail or sonic interest to a track. There are a huge variety of electronic percussion sounds that are typically heard in film, TV and video game music, with some common elements including low frequency booms or high frequency ticking sounds. Synthesized percussion elements can be useful for when you need to add extra energy and can also help to propel your music forward as well. Here I have a piece in Cubase, which was originally written as a score to a tense scene in a thriller. The instrumentation is strings and piano, along with some orchestral percussion such as a bass drum and timpani. I then used various layers of synth sounds alongside these to enhance the brooding nature and contemporary feel that the music needed to convey. I'm using 3 separate synths in this project, all of which are completely free and easily available to download. They are the Lab series by Spitfire Audio, Zebralette by Yuhi, and then finally a synth called Vital. I've included a synth bass sound for a good chunk of this piece to help add to the foreboding nature of the music with the additional low frequency help which it provides. I'm mostly using this patch called Jupiter Bass from the Vital synth, and I'm really just playing the same note, the root note of the main harmonic foundation, F, in eighth notes. The pulse helps to add energy and momentum, with a low tone helping to beef up the low frequencies. I've made use of a high pass filter in the EQ section of the track here on Cubase, which eliminates the very lowest of the bass sounds, which can make the mix sound muddy. Let's hear the bass with no high pass filter added. And now with the high pass filter turned on. Elsewhere, there's a small section of the track where I use this patch from Zebralette, which has a delay or echo effect to help add some extra rhythmic interest like this. So let's take a listen to this section from bar 17 with just the two synth bass sounds combined with the orchestral strings. Next, I've added some synth pad sounds to help give some reinforcement to the low strings which are playing. The pad sounds I'm using here are from Spitfire Audio's Labs range, which is a series of 3 samples, each in a specific style or instrument. The main pad sounds I'm using here are pad 7, and pad 10 from the Synth Pads instrument of Labs. Alongside this sound called lowered organ from the Piano Pads instrument, also from Labs. Towards the end of the piece, I've also made use of this sound called glitched, also from the Piano Pads range of sounds. I've modified the sound though using the tremolo plugin which comes included with Cubase. This plugin helps to give the long pad sound a rhythmic twist, pulsating at the speed of 16th notes or semiquavers. Let's take a listen to the sound without the plugin. And now with the plugin. Let's take a listen to these pads layered together. And now let's hear the pads layered with the orchestral strings. I tend to use textures alongside pad sounds to help add some extra sonic variety to a sound. All of the textures I'm using in this piece are from the Labs range. Each one has its own sonic identity, and using a few different textured sounds helps to add variety to the music. Things can get really interesting when these are combined in various layers, such as here from bar 10. Now let's hear the synth textures with the strings added. For the synth percussion elements, I'm using various sounds from both Vital and Zebralette. The first is this kick drum hit from Vital, which I use for some punctuated accents. Next I use this sound called Easy Mallet, which is also from Vital. To create this sound, I've muted the free oscillators so that just the white noise is heard, and then applied a delay effect using a ping pong delay plugin which comes with Cubase. This creates a sound which helps to give some high frequency interest, alongside the low boomy kick drum. I also make use of a percussion loop using Zebralette. Having a loop like this helps to add some further extra rhythmic interest, which ticks over in the background for most of the second half of the piece. One of my favourite sounds from these three synths is this Easy Mallet sound. Having just used it as a hi-hat like effect, by keeping the oscillators on this time, you can hear a sound which is much more tonal or pitched in nature. Again, I've added a delay effect to help give it an extra rhythmic dimension, this time using the delay built into Vital. And although not strictly a percussion sound, I've used a small amount of this organ patch from Zebralette, which has quite a bit of emphasis on the high-end frequencies, helping to give a certain attack to the sound. So let's take a listen to just the percussion alongside the orchestral strings from bar 20 here. So now we've heard all the elements individually, let's take a listen to the whole track. That's a brief introduction into including electronic synth sounds in your music. All of the instruments I've used in this track are free and easy to download. See below for the links to each one in the description. Spend some time exploring the presets that come with each synth, and then have a go at tweaking the sounds to create your own variations. If you found the video useful, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more composing tips and tricks. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments section below as well.